for men with Drive, energy, strength, drive in one supplement. M-Drive is packed with ingredients to boost healthy testosterone and so much more. Go to mdriveformen.com and use the code HERD to get 20% off your first purchase. M-Drive. It's not for everyone. It's only for the driven. Doug Gottlieb in for Colin. We got some stuff still for you. We got the best for last.
It's almost the end of the show, but that doesn't mean we're phoning it in. Nope, we grind to the very last segment. It's time for Best for Last.
So here's what we thought we would do, right? With all the reboots that are happening in movies and TV shows, right? We thought, what if we rebooted some of the great teams of all time? How would they look now? Like, if you go back and watch an old movie, you watch Caddyshack, you're like, doesn't really stand up. Some movies, though, you go back and watch, like, you know what? That still kind of works, right? All right, so, Joy, here's what we'll do. You give me a historically great team, and I'll tell you if it would be better or worse if they were rebooted in
today's game.
Yes, today's game.
Okay, so would the 1985 Bears be better or worse in today's game?
I think worse. I don't think I know worse. Now, again, remember, we're just taking that team
right,
and putting them into this society, this, sports era, and they'd be worse. They ran the 4-6 defense. You know why nobody runs it anymore? Because it was designed to stop run-heavy offenses. Not what we have now. Their offense led the NFL in rush yards, which, running the football, has become big. 20th in pass yards. Like, Jim McMahon was not a great thrower. They did have Willie Gault, who could run. He was a world-class track star.
But that defense, though. The
defense was nasty. But, again, it's in terms of defensive design. It would get spread out and just get thrashed. Linebackers are way too big, not speedy enough. Jim McMahon, Walter Payton rushed for 1,500 yards, but he wasn't a shell of himself, but he wasn't prime Walter Payton. Richard Dent, William Perry, Mike Singletary. I love that team. Everybody was scared of that team. It's one of the most dominant defenses in the history of the sport, but it was a defense that was designed for that era, not this one. They would be worse.
Would the 1992 Cowboys be better or worse in today's game?
Better. They ranked second in scoring, got a score now. Right? Fifth in rushing. They could run it with Emmitt Smith, but they also had Michael Irvin, and they had Alvin Harper. I mean, you got a great tight end, a great fullback, and as much as we could say fullback is gone, look at the Niners and how they use Juszczyk.
No, fullback's back.
Awesome offensive line, and look, numbers don't translate to how good Aikman was. He was crazy accurate, and that's prime Michael Irvin, who was crazy talented. A little crazy, but crazy talented. I think they would be better because they were so loaded at every offensive position, and they could score. And if anything, they were held back by the fact that they wanted to run it, and they were a little bit more conservative because of the era.
The 95 and 96 Bulls, better or worse in today's game?
See, I think they would be better. I think they'd be better. If they had to downshift to small ball, well, now you play Dennis Rodman at center. People forget how dynamic. He could rebound, he could defend any position. When he was the worm in Detroit, he was the most athletic defender of any big guy in the NBA. So I think he translates to a small ball center now. Can't shoot, but he'd be a roller and finish at the rim. You play Tony Kukoc to the stretch four, and you're good. Plus, the lane being wide open. There's a viral video of Jordan and getting just hammered every time he goes to the basket. That doesn't happen anymore. I think Jordan would average even more points. I think they'd be better.
The 98-99 Spurs, better or worse?
Worse. Like, where does Tim Duncan play now? That had Tim Duncan, Avery Johnson, like non-shooting point guard, non-shooting big guys. I don't know how that would translate. I think they would be worse.
The 99 Rams, better or worse in today's game?
Better. Can't touch anybody. They still have Marshall Faulk who can catch it out of the backfield. A great offensive line. I mean, Kurt Warner could get rid of it, throw it anywhere. As good as they were 13-3 and won Super Bowl 34 by a yard over the Titans. I think they'd be better.
And the 2000 Ravens?
I think they'd be worse. Like, they're great defense. I think that defense would translate, but the offense, come on, man. I mean, Jamal Lewis and Shannon Sharp, but they didn't use him a ton there. They almost took a knee, it felt like, to play to their defense. I don't think they would be as dominant today as they were then. And that's the best for last. On the other hand, I wanted to do this, okay? The best thing that happened all week started with the worst thing that happened at the start of the week. At the end of the Daytona 500, Ryan Newman had a crash at the end of the race.
Right.
And we all feared the worst and hoped for the best. And, you know, they put up the black tarp thing so you couldn't see what was going on. There was radio silence as to his health. And then 2 days ago, he walks out with his daughters.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And he's fine. That's the absolute best for last. Back with Speak for Yourself next in The Herd. Back with The Herd, Joy Taylor, Doug Gottlieb, and Jason Whitlock joins us live from Las Vegas, where Joy is on her way to see the Fury Wilder fight, or the Wilder Fury fight. Whit, you guys are about to Speak for Yourself. The face-off was canceled. I think all of us sat here going like, that's just for TV. Then they cancel it. But why are we protecting them from hurting each other before they try and kill each other? Like, what's really going on?
I think the emotions are real. I think that these guys like and respect each other, but this close to a fight this big, where either guy could make history and could really make himself an icon, not just here in America, but globally, I think the emotions are that real. I think that in Marcellus and I sitting down with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder this week, right here on this set, I think we could feel the emotions starting to bubble up. And I don't really agree with what the commission's done, banning the face-off. I want to see that. If they want to push and shove. I've seen Mike Tyson threaten to kill people. I think these two guys can scrap at the weigh-in, and we'll be all good. So I kind of disagree with the commission, but I do think the tension is real.
Tyson actually wanted to eat somebody's children, but that's far afield.
He did. Yeah.
How much different is it? You've been to so many of these. I've covered them as well. But that it's the heavyweight division, a division that's really been devoid of star power. Got about 15 seconds. How much different is it because it's two heavyweights?
Well, it's much different, and heavyweights bring out a different class of sports fan and bring out a different energy. This reminds me of Mike Tyson when he came out of jail and started fighting here at the MGM.
All right, can't wait to see Speak for Yourself. Jason Whitlock with Joy Taylor. I'm Doug Gottlieb. Have yourself a great weekend. If you're headed to Vegas or you're just going to buy the fight on the Fox Sports app, I am going to take Fury to win the fight.